Hi guys, this is Lachette with Scarlet Moon Creations, and I'm back with another video. Today's video is all about my May 2018 favorites, and like always, these videos are basically me talking about my favorite forms of self-care during that particular month, in this case May, and just sharing with you guys some ways I found around the internet, for the most part, of making myself feel better, having an uplifting day, and improve my self-development. So let's get started. This is a relatively short list, kind of like last month, but I like the way that turned out, so I didn't go looking for more things to add to my list this month. So to start, I'm going to talk about the May Tarot. Hashtag the May Tarot. And that was a tarot divination challenge by Lionheart. Now, he does a lot of monthly divination challenges on Instagram, and I have always, been interested in trying out one of his challenges, but I haven't so far because there were other ones that just interested me. I have attempted at various times to do more than one challenge at a time, but yeah, just following through on one is enough. So the May Tarot was focused on being magical beings. Most people who read cards, cartomancy, card divination of any kind are usually, somewhat in touch with their intuitive sides and magical systems, however you want to put it. So it was kind of a like magical themed thing this month. So I really enjoyed doing it. I'll show you the deck I used in a second, because that was that's also on my list. But I really enjoyed this challenge. Like, I had forgotten what the focus or the theme was this month, but then like getting into it, because he announces as most people do what the challenge is going to be like a couple of weeks before it actually starts. So I was like, yeah, and I bookmarked like that I want to try this challenge this month, and I forgot as time passed, and then the beginning of May came, and I was like, oh yeah, that's right. So he included things like numerology, knowing, picking cards for your life path number, your personality, the 4-letter personality test that you get. I am currently at this point in my life, apparently, INTF. And the last 2 letters have definitely changed over the years, so whatever. But picking cards for those, having cards for each of the new moons, using the 3 sections of the Emerald Tablet, which is well known amongst those who are interested in the occult, not just necessarily magical systems or spirituality. And more, and it was very in-depth, getting to know the magical side of me, and both consciously and unconsciously, and how I feel about all of that has been very interesting this month. So I just want to shout out Lionheart. Do check out his Instagram. Currently, since it's June, he's doing a Pride month, since it is Pride month here in the United States. He's doing a Pride theme this month, so do go check it out. I think at some point this year I'm going to try out the throwback challenge, which is one that you can do at any point. I already bookmarked it, and just looking at it, I was like, oh, throwbacks, because, like the image, that's the other thing. I really enjoy the images that he uses to promote his challenges. So for the throwback challenge, it's like this old cassette tape, and yeah, only 90s babies know what I'm talking about. But yeah, so anyway, do go check out Lionheart's a very creative and intuitive tarot card reader and magical being. It's an honor to be sharing the Instagram space with such a person. Now on to the next thing. Okay, first a drink of water because I'm thirsty. So next, the deck I used for the May Tarot Challenge, and one I'm currently still using for the most part, is the Llewellyn Tarot. This is the back of the deck. This deck I use regularly. I wouldn't say often necessarily, but definitely regularly. There's the companion book. And I use it regularly because it's one of the decks that I use for my elemental year ahead reading, and which is connected to my monthly readings. If you watch my Plan With Me videos, you will have seen some of the cards from this deck, and I'll show you a few really quickly. It's a watercolor art deck. The Llewellyn deck is it was created by the Llewellyn Publishing Company. A lot of New Age and pagan books come out of Llewellyn, and I believe they're for the most part sorry, something sounded like something fell. A U.S. based company, and so there are, other than U.S. Game Systems, our main publisher for tarot decks. Now this deck is based on Welsh mythology, and that's something I've always been interested in. And so like the major arcana cards are, like regular, they follow the Rider-Waite, it follows the Rider-Waite-Smith system, but each, people are so impatient out here all of a sudden. Sorry. So it follows the Rider-Waite-Smith system, but the major arcana cards also have a double meaning of being connected to particular Welsh myths. So I kind of got this deck with the idea of learning more about Welsh mythology because I wanted to at the time, and it has become even more important to me because the coven I'm in is Welsh based, so this is another tie-in, another connection. The artist is Anna Marie Ferguson. You can see her here. And the companion book is pretty decent. Like, it explains each of the cards for the major arcana, and then gives you some backstory of the particular Welsh myth, and then, the reading upright and reverse. The minor arcana cards are not as detailed, but in general it's a deck that I love. I will continue to use. It was on my list last year in January. I made the list of decks that I want to work with more in 2018, and this is one of them. And so I did the May Tarot Challenge by Lionhearts with this deck, and I'm continuing to do the Sun and Moon, Sun, Moon in June Tarot Challenge currently. I'm not really posting that on Instagram though, but I am using this deck regularly. It's the one also I'm using for the most part for client readings. So if you like the deck and if you would like a reading from me, you can click my shop link in the description down below. Now, next. This is going to be a little bit difficult to show. I want to talk about the Magical Playbook. It was a challenge on Instagram. It's also a class given by the OTM_Academy. And this is the challenge, but there's a class, I believe it's $33 if I remember what Kristen said correctly. I, at the time, was unable to, put that into my budget, so I didn't. I just did the what I could with the knowledge that I had and could gain on my own. And basically the Magical Playbook, please go check out this post by her at Over the Moon, Kristen at Over the Moon Academy. It's her idea, her challenge, her class. She explains it way better than I'm about to. Basically, it's like a divination journal or book, however you want to put it, but it's interactive. So instead of just, putting down the words in your journal of what cards you picked, or maybe some symbols if you want, or whatever else, you can create a page where you can place the cards down on it and repeatedly use this page. Let me just show you what I have here. If I can pull it back enough, is a book of shadows that I made many years ago. Gosh, maybe 10 years ago? I don't know. I just know I wanted to have a book of shadows, but I wanted to make my own, and so I did. This is post bound. It's got all these ribbons, and I made it super huge. This is like 12 by 17 or something like that, because I wanted, what I put in it to be legible. And then I didn't use it very much. But one of my goals for the year was to add more to my book of shadows, and that's plural, so not just this one, because part of the reason I stopped was because I wasn't sure how I wanted to put things in it. Seeing Kristen's idea for the magical playlist, I got very interested in that, and I remembered I had this, and I had all these huge pages in this book already, and so I'm going to show you a couple right now. Okay, so first up, whoops, almost dropped something. I have this, my cartomancy pendulum chart. So one of the pages in the challenge we were directed to create was a pendulum chart. I don't really use pendulums very often, but occasionally I found that I don't know what to pick with something, and so I kind of hem and haw and dither about until nothing happens. One of the things is picking out which deck I want to use for whatever purpose, whether it's for a challenge or this. I was thinking more about on Instagram, I'm doing these weekly readings for everyone, and it's kind of like this motivational message / mantra for the week, letting you know what energies you're working with and how best to keep, a positive flow with those energies. And I kind of mix up what decks I use. I use multiple decks in the reading, which is interesting and fun, but I'm not always sure which one to choose. So I have this page, and it lists all of the decks I currently have, and they're kind of alternating between tarot and oracle decks. And then I have it in the book, and it's like face down like this, and I have this pendulum, which was made by a friend of mine, an old friend, and it is my, yeah, it's the chakras. Sorry, I forgot. She made another one for me, which is the elements. So it's the chakras, and then there's like a goddess figure on the end there, if I can, yeah. So I just take it, do my pendulum thing, and pick out my decks that way. So that's one page. Then I have this very simple month ahead spread, and you may recognize this because it's very similar to my elemental year ahead spread, except it's only the 4 cards for the month. So each month I pull out the cards. I got air, fire, water, and earth, and I just lay them here, take a picture, look at them if necessary. And that's for me. If it's for a client, I can lay them here, take the picture, upload it to the reading, so they can keep that picture of the cards and use it however they wish. This is very handy. I'm going to do a bunch of other spreads. I wasn't sure how I wanted the background, so I left this really simple. This is like watercolor. And a little bit of hand lettering there at the top for the title and each of the elemental names. On my other side, it's what she called the Astro Tarot something. I'm so sorry, Kristen. I completely blanked on what the name is. But it's the Astro Tarot thing. And basically, this is somewhat less interactive, but it's good to have. This is my natal chart, or my birth chart. In astrology, that basically means it's like a sort of scientific version of a picture of the sky when I was born, where all the planets were, what houses and what signs and all of that. I did sort of this watercolor galaxy painting background, and I'm very grateful for Get Messy Art Journal for teaching me how to do that last year, because it came in very handy for making this very artistic. And then inside the various boxes you see the planets, and the signs are all out on the outside. The planets, the degrees they're in each sign, and then you see next to them each a name of a tarot card, so the corresponding tarot cards, and the same goes for the signs. Each has a corresponding tarot card name in the box with them. So one of the reasons, this was a big reason why I did this challenge, the magical playbook, this right here. And so if I did nothing else, I'm very happy I did this. Kristen talked about how she was always losing her astrological birth chart when she needed it, and I totally do that. I've got God knows how many hundreds floating around out in the world because I'm always misplacing them and then unable to find them when I need them. So this is nice. Like when I need to look up my birth chart information, I can just turn to this page and there it is. And the same with looking up the corresponding tarot card information. So that's more of a reference page than an interactive page. This I found very interesting. This is a word search reading. So you could print out a word search chart, but I don't have a printer at home, and it became very difficult for me to time getting to like the local library to print. because they're the cheapest, to be honest. Let's be real. So I sat down one day. Um, you can go online and put in some words to an engine and it'll create a word search um, page like this. And you can print it out or do what I did and just sit down while you're watching TV and write it all out. I used some very cool washi tape and I need to use it some more to tape it on here. The background I did is watercolor and I did 3-card word search. And basically you look at the word search, the first 3 words you see, you pull a card for each word and then just place them in the spots here. And then do your reading wherever you do it. So that was cool. I'm not sure where Kristen got this idea from, but I like it, so I did it. Next, a finger labyrinth. I do not have a I forget what the tool is that makes circles, concentric circles. So, and then I can't make, circles that are even. So I went with the square one. This is kind of a medieval type, the type of labyrinth it is. But yeah, so that's the entrance and you just follow. I used some scrapbook paper I had and then this lovely white gel pen that I love, that is new. This was my breaking it in and I love how it turned out. So, and I like the color of paper, it's very soothing. Did some hand lettering up here, just ignore that it's not centered because I'm never good at that. So this is probably the biggest form of self-care in this book, this labyrinth. Like sometimes you just need to unwind to focus. It's like a meditative thing, labyrinths, and we can't always access one, so having a finger labyrinth that I can turn a page to and just like zen out to getting to the center and focusing is just amazing. And yeah, that is all I have for that challenge so far. There's one more page I definitely want to do. I just have not had the time. I want to add some crystal grid, some more spreads in there. And yeah, maybe another labyrinth. I'm not sure. But that is that. Next topic. This is kind of weird, but eggs. Eggs. E-G-G-S. Eggs. I said that, yes. Let me grab one actually. Okay, so here's an egg. It's an Easter egg. It's plastic. It opens and you put candy in it. But, so you know what I mean in case my pronunciation is weird to you. The thing is, two-pronged. For the spring equinox, I made a ton of eggs. I dyed a few. I think I showed them on Instagram at least. I made one that looked like the sun and the moon, so they were like my god and goddess egg for that time period. And then after that, I had a bunch of empty eggshells that I wrote stuff on, and I buried as part of another ritual to, eggs are kind of symbolic as, their new life and also possibilities for the future and growth. And so in previous rituals, I have buried eggshells with seeds in them into little pots and start new plants. And so that was kind of a ritual that I did around Beltane-ish. But this time I wrote on the eggshells and on the little pots like what I'm growing, both from the seeds and like my intent, my goals. And so they've been on my altar for a while now. I am about ready to take them down, all the eggs that I have sitting everywhere, because I also have these like Easter stuff. But on the flip side, on the more practical side, I had a uh, I don't know what's wrong with me. Like, I lost my brain for a second. I had a tooth problem that became a pain problem that became a chipped tooth problem. And because of the pain, I couldn't really eat anything in extreme temperatures or anything too likely to get in between my teeth and, into that empty spot. So I was eating a lot of eggs and oh, good lord. I like eggs, especially at home. I prefer eggs at home than in a restaurant. I'm very, oddly enough, suspicious of eggs cooked elsewhere. And elsewhere, I mean like restaurants. I won't eat like other people's home cooked eggs, but restaurant eggs are yeah. So I'm weird like that, but that's probably one of the few things I'm picky about food wise. Anyway, I ate a lot of eggs in all kinds of ways because it's the incredible edible egg, and there are a bazillion ways to cook them. So I'm kind of glad I'm off eggs, but eggs were, pain relief and a way to have variety and a way to increase focus and growth and intent in the month of May for me. And that was important to have that focus and drive to grow something, to start new life, to transform something. So that was eggs. Let me tell y'all something. Next, I've got like a life/business coach for the year, and I will probably wait to talk about her and the program we're doing till the end. But she brought in a special guest last month to talk about managing your time management, project management, planning, that kind of thing. Now, y'all know I'm no stranger to any of these stuff, but I am willing to listen and learn, and I did. The biggest takeaway that, good lord, I should name the woman. She brought in the guest, her name Becky Halston, and Becky had a lot of great information that I was already doing, but my biggest concerns were like motivation and what's the word? What is the word? Motivation and I don't know. So anyway, motivation. That's the big thing. And I asked her towards the end of her talk, like she was like, "Yeah, anybody have questions?" And I was like, "What advice do you have for me about staying motivated towards my goals?" I find that personally, a lot of people who, in particular, in this case, were small business owners, are either younger and in a better frame of mind mentally, but also better life circumstances. They're also if they're more like me, if they're relatively they're young women of color, or young women, they tend to have children or a husband or a boyfriend, and that's what motivates them. Their family, or they have that support of someone to help them out with something. And I am completely single with no kids, and finding motivation outside of myself. I'm not gonna have kids or pick up a guy just to support me, but obviously also there's just the idea of having internal motivation being the best and healthiest way. Um, and so I was like, what advice do you have or suggestions? And Becky said something that is sticking with me, and this I'm gonna paraphrase it, so it's not sticking with me word for word exactly how she said it, but just this has probably been the most helpful thing ever said to me this year so far, if not in the last 2 years, that I should look at my goals, my as my motivation, like my outcomes. Remember, go back to why I'm doing this. I have them written down, I have them planned out. When it comes to those days where I'm doing all this tedious stuff, to go back and look at why, to remember why, and remember why I want to accomplish what I want to accomplish. Like, what do I think I'm going to get out of it? It also helps when you're doing something and maybe you go back and you realize, like me, I need to change this, so I'm not stuck in the same rut just because like goals change, not motivations, but yeah, motivations change, and you need to put in the hard work, but sometimes you get so bogged down and it's just like, well, what am I doing this for? And that's where you go back and look at like your vision board or your goals list, your mind map, whatever. And I don't know why that blew my mind, but it didn't. It's still blowing my mind, and that is a useful thing for me to do. Like, I have kept going with these videos, all of the videos here on YouTube, all of my blogging this year. I've kept going pretty steadily, even with, some mistakes and sometimes, missing blocks of time, because I go back and I'm like, okay, well, maybe I won't, complete stuff by this time, but the whole point is this, in general, to have all of this here for people to read and to watch, and, I should keep going, because I want to help other people find various ways to take care of themselves, to improve their lives, to be happier in their everyday. And if I stop, I won't be doing that. So keep going, kind of thing. So I just really want to thank Becky. Her website is currently under construction, so I'll put something else here. And yeah, that was just awesome, very awesome. Okay, y'all. So next up is Rain Global on Instagram. Here's her thing. She makes crowns. She is a woman of color that makes these very unique crowns, and she promotes positivity and self-care and, spirituality, and I love everything about her. I came across Rain. I have a friend from high school who does many, many amazing things. One of which is this annual event called the Black Web Fest. And I volunteer as a production assistant every year because it's just absolutely amazing, and I meet all kinds of amazingly interesting people. And this year, Rain was one of those special guests, and I'm just like, her everything is glowing, literally. And she's in New York City, just creating these beautifully amazing crowns for women, and then going out and promoting her business, promoting her image, promoting her mission, and it's all beautiful. And you guys should definitely check out Rain. One of her crowns is on my to-buy list. They should be on your to-buy list too. If you are a woman of color who is following me, if you're a woman of person of color who is pagan, who's following me and looking for, a crown for the queen, the mother, the crone, the maiden, the goddess within, or that aspect in your rituals, definitely check out Rain Global. You will not be disappointed. Next, Breed's Cause at the Beltane Festival last month went amazingly great. I was exhausted, but I loved it. That was the last week of my 6 weeks of intensity, and that was probably the thing that left me the most exhausted last month. Out of that run from the beginning of April until that first weekend in May, and I just, I enjoyed it so much. I did my first workshop, my first live workshop on magical journaling and record keeping, got various more subscribers. And from that, I have opened up a subscribers only download section for my website. So if you would like to be a subscriber, and if you would like certain things for your grimoire, magical journal, book of shadows, whatever you call it, more information about herbs and oils and things like that, bath magic, subscribe. There's a link in my description down below, and you can get all of this stuff for free. Then Spiritual Black Girls on Instagram is amazing. I came across them just while searching on Instagram, and I have not looked back. It's what they post runs the gamut. They reblog or repost other people's various spiritual black girls posts from Instagram and around the web. They do give credit at all times, and it is just like promoting spiritual black girls, and who wouldn't want that, right? And it runs the gamut. It's spiritual, there's African diasporic traditions, there's witchcraft, there's some other traditions from around the world that black women and black girls might be interested in, or that someone is practicing somewhere and others might be interested in, to see how they do their thing. There's also like things like taking, our culture and imbuing it with spirituality, things from certain hairstyles to outfits and things like that. And I love every post I see. They probably think I'm just like liking to get, my stuff reblogged, but no, I love every post I see, and I wind up following literally half the people they repost. So go follow them on Instagram and love everything they do. Okay, lastly, I thought the first part of this video was going to go quicker. A bulk of my May self-care, though not everyone would see it that way, went out to BTS. I talked about them before. They are a K-pop group. At this point, a lot more of my followers probably know who they are. In May, they won their second Billboard Music Award, even though it's a like 99% Korean language album. And as is most of their content, they are a Korean boy band, for lack of a better term, a Korean group that sings, raps, and dances. They write and produce their music, and Their album series, currently they're in the middle of, this is the third album, and the series is called Love Yourself. They're doing a UNICEF campaign, or a campaign with UNICEF to promote loving yourself amongst the youth, and so that they kind of resist things like self-harm and work with professionals for mental health issues like depression and anxiety and so many other things. And the latest album, Love Yourself Here, is a heart-wrenching one. I thought the first half of this video was going to be shorter, so I was going to go into more detail, but I might have to do another video. I'm actually feeling a little teary-eyed. We'll see. It might be my first K-pop video. That'll be interesting. Not so much self-care in like the things they put out a lot in content-wise in general, but they put out quite a bit in May, all in one go with this album, with this comeback, and the press they did, the promotion, other promotional stuff they did, and like this album's focus is like love is not, depending on where the love is coming from, whether it's within yourself or if you're expecting love from another person to support you through life, to be your be-all and end-all, that is not going to end well. And you need to learn other ways to give yourself love, and like they'll support you. BTS, you know, they want their fans to be happy and to feel loved, but you know, it's like here are some healthy ways to do that rather than hanging on to someone outside of yourself for self-expression, to validate who you are and what you do. And I can't do anything but support that wholeheartedly as much as humanly possible. So it's a heart-wrenching album, but hopefully we'll get back to something positive. Love is not always happy and positive. Sometimes it hurts, and I appreciate that honesty and forthrightness from BTS. So yeah, this is a really long video, but I definitely wanted to show you those pages from the Magical Playbook and to talk about BTS. I definitely might do a separate video for them with regards to how their music in particular affects me. But do check them out. There's a link in the description down below. And if you like this video, please hit the like button. If you'd like to see more videos like this, hit subscribe and that little bell next to it so you can be notified when the next video comes out, which will, I do these videos at least once a week. I try to put them out every Friday, so there's that. Subscribe to me if you just want me to send stuff straight to your inbox. You don't have to wait for notifications. You also get, like I said, access to my, I'm calling it at this point the Red Library, free downloads and links to other information. And yeah, if you'd like a reading or something else from me, my shop link is in the description down below. I just talking about BTS for a little bit kind of threw me off emotionally. But thank you very much for watching. If you have any comments, questions about anything I talked about in this video, please leave a comment. There will be a link to everything I talked about in a blog post below as well. Thank you guys for watching. Have a beautiful weekend. Bye.